Cruella, released in the theaters this weekend and on Disney Plus with premium access. This movie is directed by Craig Gillespie. He is directing some great movies, getting better with each film. His first film, Mr. Woodcock, extremely funny, underrated comedy, and he continues to grow from there with Finest Hour. I, Tanya was great. I thought one of the best films of the year, a Best Picture winner, in my opinion. And that movie is drove by Paul Walter Hauser, who's in this movie as well. But Cruella also stars Emma Stone, Emma Thompson, Joel Fry, Paul Walter Hauser, Emily Beckman, and Mark Strong. This film is commanded by the great acting of Emma Stone. She gives a great performance here as Cruella, and that two split personalities she plays very well, and it's very believable. You get their character's motivation and why she does her actions just by the expressions on her face. She looks badass too, and just the costumes she wears and how she goes from this timid young Stella to Cruella, this evil, conniving, revenge-seeking girl. It's just a great interlace of these two personalities that this character has, and Emma Stone plays them very, very well. But as I said before, Paul Walter Hauser almost steals this movie away from Emma Stone with his performance. It is subtle, but so great. He's still funny in the movie. He's kind of the comedic relief in the movie, but I love him in every movie. Paul Walter Hauser is an underrated actor that people need to be aware of more. Like I said before, I, Tynan, he was great in that. Same director, he knows how to use Paul Walter Hauser, and this is no exception. Paul Walter Hauser does a great performance as one of Cruella's goons in this movie, and it's still funny and makes you just drawn to him when you see him on screen. You're like, that guy's doing something great. Emma Thompson plays the villain Baroness in this movie as Cruella's boss, who's very demanding, cruel, steals her fashion designs and all that, with her henchman Mark Strong's character in it as well. But the overall story, once it gets to like the big reveal, I guess, like Mark Strong character complete like switches roles and switches allegiances to Emma Stone and Emma Thompson's character, and it just felt like it wasn't explained enough. It wasn't hinted enough that you thought he was going to switch at any time. It just came out of nowhere, and you're like, okay, he's on Cruella's side now all of a sudden. Why is that? And when you find out, it's still not enough payoff that is justed for the switch. The Cruella character, though, is known for her fashion design and that Dalmatian coat that she has in the cartoons. And the animals in this are all CGI, I believe. Maybe some mix between real and CGI, depending on what the animal was doing at the time. Pretty sure the Dalmatians were all CGI. But this technology is becoming great, so much so that I can't tell what's CG and what's not with animals. The animals have the look of the Lady and the Tramp Disney Plus movie that came out a few months ago. It kind of has that look, and I thought that was impressive. And I think they're just growing from here. Like, it's so much different than the human creation CGI characters compared to the animals. They're more believable. They don't distract from the movie as much, even though they did a little for me at certain scenes. But still, I'd rather see real animals there as much as possible. But I think they did a good blend of CG and real animals, depending on what the animal was doing and what they had to do without getting that trainer in there to get the animal to behave and all that. It's just easier and more cost effective for CGI, which is why I think most movies are leaning towards that, because the technology is way beyond where it was 5 years ago. Still, this movie I had some problems with. The voiceover is very annoying to me, just in any movie that doesn't really work. For me, only like 1% of the time it works. And she voiceovers this movie throughout the entire 2 hours, explaining what she's feeling in the moment, what's going to happen, and all that. It's kind of just annoying to me. I'd rather just see it on screen and not hear that voiceover, but that's like a nitpick of the movie, but one that I feel the movie could have done without. Even though this is a great movie and a great turn of a Disney villain that they're doing, and like bringing back old Disney movies like The Jungle Book and all that. This is a new take on it, kind of like Maleficent and Winnie the Pooh. I felt like these compared to that, I still think Winnie the Pooh is better, but this is a I don't know where this ranks right now for me, but this is a really great movie, and Disney did a great job with the Cruella character and telling a new story that's different from the animated movies of this character. And one part of the movie that shined in this movie was the costume design. At first, I wasn't too impressed, but as the movie moved along, the costumes got more elaborate, got better. Her like staging up Emma Thompson's Baroness character, Emma Stone used for Cruella. She just brings her costumes to the next level, upping the ante, trying to beat her out on fashion. And it's so well done. These costumes are so elaborate, they're so creative. I love seeing all of them that Cruella wore. It kind of felt like Phantom Thread punk rock kind of vibe, not like um, old English vibe, but just like punk vibe. Very nice designer costumes. And that brings me to my other point. This movie is set in the correct time period of the 70s. I don't think it would work if it was set in any other era. The 70s really help set the tone of the movie and help bring Cruella to life by the surrounding people in the community and how open and welcoming they are to her and not leaving her because she's evil and mean. The 70s were a great time, and this character needs to live in the 70s for every movie up until here. I want to see if they make a sequel of Cruella. They probably will. I hope they stick with the 70s and not just go into the 80s and 90s with these sequels. The 70s also gave us great music, and this Cruella's soundtrack is amazing in my opinion. Such great songs used, tiny little clips of it. You don't hear the whole popular pop song in there or punk song in there. You just hear like a minute of it and you get that vibe and you're grooving with it. And then it just goes away and goes back into the story. So you're drawn in with this popular song from the 70s in England. And it's a great soundtrack that I started listening to again right when I left the theater. And even the best part of the movie for me was a music scene when Cruella puts on this punk fashion concert show in front of the Baroness's palace and warehouse of where she makes her own. That just is a great vibe and great look into what character Cruella is and gives her very great personality with the character while still being likable with this concert. It's a great scene and my favorite of the movie. So in all, Cruella was a great, enjoyable experience. It didn't feel like that long of a movie. Stuff could have been cut to make it under 2 hours, but I felt like it was a good place. Everything flowed nicely. Some stuff was rushed, like the Mark Strong character and all that. But overall, this is a great movie, and I give Cruella, let's say, I'll go with an 87 out of 100 for me. 87 out of 100 sounds right for this movie. It's very good. Go out and see it this weekend in theaters or pay the premium access on Disney Plus and see it with a bunch of friends in your own house. It is well worth the money, and see you guys later.